Hello, welcome back. How were the breakouts? You have a good time, you learned some things, you tasted some things. So we are close to the end of day 2 of Worlds of Flavor. It's my pleasure to introduce a special presentation about CIA initiatives in the Mediterranean. I'm going to welcome Greg Drescher, who many of you know, who's our Senior Advisor for Strategic Partnerships, Industry Leadership, and Impact. So, Greg.
Hi, everybody. How are we doing? What I want to do is just take a few minutes to talk about kind of some of our initiatives in the Mediterranean, then also talk a little bit about our work on the Mediterranean diet, which is a sort of a subset of Mediterranean food cultures and Mediterranean cuisines, right? Start here. There's just, I think, because you're here, you know how much potential there is in the Mediterranean with learning about food culture and health and so forth. And so a few years back, we decided to create a center to have a sort of a footprint in the Mediterranean. We have a partnership with the University of Barcelona that goes back several years ago, focused on food, health, and sustainability. It's the Torre Barra Mediterranean Center, and we're delighted to have our co-executive director here, Santi Amastashashas. Santi, raise your hand. You can chat with him about all of our work over there. Longtime resident of Barcelona and is doing a great job with us in Europe and the Mediterranean. So what do we do there, right? So it's one of the main things we do is we offer our bachelor's degree students an option of doing a Mediterranean concentration. So you can either be in a classroom in Hyde Park or at Greystone learning about the Mediterranean, or we can actually get you to the Mediterranean, have a home base, and really experience that for 15 weeks. So we do that a couple times a year, and then we take our students out for field trips, including to Andalusia, wonderful picture of the mosque in Cordoba. There's so much to see there and really get immersed in those cuisines. And one of the other things that we started to do going back about 6 years ago was to start a conference series that we call Tomorrow Tastes Mediterranean. And that has been in Barcelona for many, many years. In a minute, I'll just show you, we're now alternating between Barcelona and Greece. But again, the idea is doing a lot of what we do here in the United States, which is bringing different kinds of people together. So it's certainly about chefs in the Mediterranean, cookbook authors, culinary talent, but also healthcare professionals, sustainability experts, business leaders, people from all different disciplines and sectors that touch on food. How do we preserve the Mediterranean diet and Mediterranean food cultures in the Mediterranean? How do we, sort of spread the word about that? And then for our team coming over, it's a chance to, really get closer connected to a lot of the great cooks and chefs all over the Mediterranean. So this is, let me go back here. I think we've got a, no, sorry. This last year, we were in Kalamata in Greece, and we have a wonderful new partnership there. We had 350 attendees, and really, if you haven't been in that part of Greece, it's the southwest corner of the Peloponnese, southwest of Athens, and we were there just before the olive harvest, and really a magnificent place to spend a few days with experts from across Europe and the United States. I want to tell you a little bit about a conversation I had in Athens in 1991 that led to the scientific conference that led to the creation and the launch of the Mediterranean Diet Pyramid. This is sort of a, being in this industry and knowing about the Mediterranean diet, I thought you'd be interested in the backstory here a little bit. So in 1991, I organized a conference in the north of Greece, if any of you know where Halkidiki is, near Thessaloniki. And it was mostly a culinary conference, but at the last minute we invited a professor of nutrition, a leader in Europe on nutrition research, Antonia Trikopoulou, to come, and she gave a talk. Now, if you remember in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, for those of you that were in the industry, the whole focus of the public health community was on low fat, right? If you wanted to live longer and have less heart disease and less cancer, you wanted to get as much fat out of the diet as possible. It didn't matter what kind it was, 30% was the government target. A lot of people like Dean Ornish and others said, no, 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 that's a sellout. You need to be at 20%, right? So the restaurant community, the chefs were going, we're freaking out because, like, I want to be responsible. I want to try to, but you're crushing me. It's like, how can I work with 20% fat, right? So Antonia came and gave this talk and said, basically, look, in the early 1960s, the Greeks had 90% less heart disease than Americans. They had a third of the cancer rates. They had the highest adult life expectancy in the world at that time, and they were consuming 35 to 40% of their calories from fat, mostly olive oil, some nuts, some fish, and so forth, but a much higher fat proportion in the diet. And so I had coffee with her in Athens after. That wasn't the view that we had from our table while we were having coffee, by the way, but never get tired of looking at that view. And I said, how come we don't know about this? And she said, well, it's very simple. She said, nobody pays attention to what we're doing in the Mediterranean. It's the public health community is driven by Europe and North America. But in addition to that, yes, there's a lot of research, and yes, there's a lot of FAO and WHO data, and we know a lot, but it's a little confusing in terms of what it is. And in Italy, they eat a lot of cream and butter in the north, and they eat olive oil in the south. And if you look at Turkey, there's coastal olive production, but in the east, there's a lot of sheep's fat, and there's wine consumed in the north rim of the Mediterranean, but not so much in North Africa. So anything in academia that seems a little bit vague and fuzzy and romantic, everybody runs away from. But if you're interested, there's really something here, and I can introduce you to my husband. So her husband was the chairman of epidemiology at Harvard, and they just happened to be living on two different continents. And so I met with him, and he then introduced me to Walter Willett, who's the chairman of nutrition at Harvard at that time, who also suspected that the entire public health community was mistaken about the focus on low fat. And so we hatched a plan at that point to put together an international conference, which is on the left side there, with initially just with Harvard, but then WHO came on board, and we had we followed sort of the National Academy of Sciences model on convening, and we had this incredible roster of scientists from all over the world looking at the best available evidence around the Mediterranean diet. And we released the pyramid. This is a draft of the pyramid, in which I actually personally drew all that. In 1994, we had another scientific conference after we had a comment period, and then released this in 1995. And then, as they say, the rest is history. This changed the course of nutrition research. It's changed the course of public health. And we had an explosion of interest in all things Mediterranean in this country. If you're curious about the early literature, you can just Google the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition Mediterranean Diet Pyramid, and you can see there was a special issue of AJCN in 1995. But just this last summer, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition invited us to do a special 7,000-word review article on the history of all of this, including all the research, the most significant research that's been done over the last 30 years, including cultural context and translation. And if you're interested, you should take a look. It's called 3 Decades of the Mediterranean Diet Pyramid, a narrative review of the history, evolution, and advances. And it really just rounds out, I think, a sense of what the Mediterranean diet is all about. So one of the main things that I want to say here is that, because a lot of people say, well, the Mediterranean diet is a construct. No, the Mediterranean diet is basically just looking at the dietary patterns that follow the areas of olive cultivation around the Mediterranean. So if you can separate that from political boundaries, then you're on your way to understanding what the Mediterranean diet is. So basically, it's people that were either in the growing areas or had easy access to the growing areas of olives and olive oil, that became the basis of their diet. And that coincided with diets that also were rich in fruits and vegetables and other healthy ingredients. So what the Mediterranean diet countries have in common is this proximity to olive grove, shared semi-arid climate, mountainous terrains, trade over the Mediterranean Sea that shaped the diet over time. And then you see landscape like this, and you understand why there wasn't so much animal agriculture and the plant-rich cuisines developed. You only have to look at Mediterranean sauces across the Mediterranean to understand the commonality in the kitchen. We did a little research a few years ago, finding 65 olive oil-based sauces. I'm looking at our friend from Yale that participated in the study. We know a few of them. We knew a handful of them. We don't know the whole repertoire. And I think the other thing I want to emphasize is really from Spain across North Africa and into the Middle East, there is more commonality than there is differences in the Mediterranean diet, right? It's easy to focus on the differences, but if you look at the olive-producing areas, the olive-growing areas, there's tremendous commonality. This is our chef Musa, his restaurant in Istanbul. I hope that all of you have a chance to get there. It's absolutely incredible. The food is fabulous. And this is, a plate of meze with vegetables and pulses in his restaurant in Istanbul. And then, you just look across the Mediterranean and all the just ingenious ways that they work with vegetables, with legumes, with lentils, with chickpeas, with all kinds of healthy ingredients, right? This is a truck stop near Casablanca. I was a couple years ago, and this guy had like 65, 70 tagines all going at once, and she became like a vegetable tagine. They started cooking it an hour ago, but it's kind of fun to see all those differences. And then I just want to mention quickly a project that we did in support of the release of the Eat Lancet report on planetary health called Our Cultures, Our Meals, Cooking for Planetary Health. It's a multi-year documentary project photographed on location. We did one edition in Greece, which you can view online, very richly photographed. And in addition to everything else that I mentioned about Greece and the Mediterranean, they have the additional overlay of the Orthodox tradition. So actually in the Orthodox calendar, animal protein consumption was restricted for almost half of the year. So if you're a cook and that's all you have to work with for half the year, you get really, really good at working with olive oil, vegetables, legumes, and so forth. And that's why that cuisine is so incredibly delicious in Greece. Little shot of the plant-sourced ingredients in Greece, an example of a dietary pattern. We photographed several of these. This is up in the mountains above Kalamata. Just fabulous vegetables, legumes, so forth, a little bit of meat. It's not a vegetarian or vegan meal, but it's mostly plant-forward or plant-rich. This is some stuffed vegetables that just came out of a baker's oven. Absolutely delicious. And then we also did an edition in Vietnam to look at what plant-rich dietary traditions look like over there. And in coming years, we're going to do more of these in the Mediterranean, in Asia, in Latin America, and Africa. So more to look forward to. And then if you want to view this particular work, the two editions on Greece and Vietnam, you can go to this website, menusofchange.org. You can also find out about our Menus of Change conference coming up in June, but you can get access to those two sites there. So with that, that's just a little brief overview of our work and a little background on the Mediterranean diet and some more resources for you to go through. And so that is a good introduction, I think, to our two chefs that have flown in from Greece to be with us, absolutely marvelous creative chefs. And to lead us off, it's my pleasure to introduce one of our star faculty members in Hyde Park, Maureen Kostura. Dr. Kostura is a professor of liberal arts, and she also leads our study tour to Greece and knows a whole lot about Greece. So Maureen, please welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us at this session, The Greek Table, Hidden Traditions and the Chefs Who Carry Them Forward. I am very, very pleased to have the privilege of introducing our two chefs here today. I will start with Menolis Papatsakis, and he is a chef and co-owner of Harupi and 10 Tables restaurants in Thessaloniki, and also of the Michelin Bib Gourmand Faro in Athens, where I had the great pleasure of taking students last year, and it was spectacular. Definitely check it out if you get the chance to ever go. He was born and educated in Crete, and I hear he is writing or has written his doctoral thesis on Plato. Yeah.
Not anymore.
So well-rounded. He's been a judge on numerous cooking shows in Greece and is an expert on the protected designation of origin and protected geographical indication products in Greece, which many of you are probably familiar with those systems. And he's written numerous articles about gastronomy and taste. So, Chef Papotsakis?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I also want to introduce Stavriani Zervakakou, who was born in Athens, but was raised in the traditions of the Mani Peninsula in the Peloponnese, which is the southernmost part of the Greek mainland. And she received her culinary training in Istanbul, where she was the head chef at Karakoy Gumruk, which is a restaurant by the famed Turkish chef Şemsettin Özel. When the political situation in Turkey worsened, Chef Zervakakou returned to Athens, where she helmed award-winning restaurants, including the Kirmai Hotel and Annie Fine Cooking in Athens, which was recognized by the Michelin Guide shortly after it opened. She's now the owner and chef of Aspasia restaurant in Mani, where her cuisine reflects the deep connection between the land, its history and stories, and the people. And she also is very well known for leading foraging expeditions to make better use of the local products in the Mani. So please join me in welcoming Chef Zervakakou and Chef Papotsakis.
So we start.
Yeah,
Okay.
ready to start.
So we'll cook and talk at the same time. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm very glad that I'm here, honored, and it's a privilege. Really, it's a privilege. So, what I'm going to do, it's dolma. So you don't expect from a Greek to do dolma. Maybe somebody from Turkish could say. We don't use exactly the same word. We call it dolmades, but also we use the word yemista, stuffing. I think that this is a culture that really doesn't belong to someone in the Mediterranean, because from my research, I found that always people in this wide area were rolling and stuffing things. So this is a perspective of dolma that I do in my restaurants. I also serve them together. I'm going to do 3 different kinds of them. So the first one is with the onion. The second one is with cabbage, and the third one is with leek. I don't know if I'll follow that order, but that's the thing. And every one of these has a different stuffing. So that's the interesting thing about dolma, that you can leave your imagination and take the vegetables that you can find seasonally, and you can put things inside. So if we are talking about Mediterranean cooking, there is one big thing that you need to do beyond rolling and stuffing. And it is how you cook this thing. And I think it's very important to cook, slow cook, in a good quantity of extra virgin olive oil. This is essential if you want to get the taste that we have back at home. And also, I could say the benefits of the health benefits that you can take from this kind of cooking in this kind of oil. So, I'll start with the onion dolma. What we do is we take a big onion, we cut it, and we get our knife till the middle of the onion. And then we get some water boiling, and then we put the onion inside. And when it's softened, we can take out leaves like this and cut them in half. So you see, you have softened leaves of onion. It's very easy to do it. Just clean the onion, cut it till the middle, and then boil it. And then it gets softened and opens like this. For the stuffing now, I can give you some general information because we have a lot of things here to put inside. We have a lot of aromatics, like we have dill, we have parsley, we have mint. We also have fennel. I took that, actually, from my way from the hotel to the conference here. So this is wild fennel, and it's so common in Mediterranean cooking. We use it a lot, especially in this thing. So you can imagine I was very enthusiastic when I saw this, and I collected during my way coming here. The aroma is unbelievable, and it looks like the Mediterranean fennel. Also, I found a lot of wild greens in those fields around that I don't know if you collect them and you can cook them, but they are there. Maybe it would be very interesting to find them, to search them. Maybe we could make a small catalog of those greens and photograph them and give it to people here so they can start picking them up, because this is also so Mediterranean. I'm saying all that because yesterday I had some time here, and I heard someone asking, what are we going to do here in America to be more Mediterranean? And I was thinking, you don't have to do too much. Just go out, collect some wild fennel and some wild greens, and also take some good quantity of olive oil that you also produce here in United States. So you can have, I tasted wonderful olive oils here with my friend Alexandra, that she's an olive oil expert. So I have to continue. What we do then, we mix everything together. I mean, all the aromatics. Here we have pine. This kind of dolma is influenced from the Istanbul part. So what is different here is that we have more spices like cinnamon, like cumin, and also we have the pine seed that we put it in a pan with some fire to get out the aromas. And also we have raisins. So this is a little bit sweet. You see, raisins. You have the onion, you have the pine seeds, so we have things that make things sweet. In that case, we need something to balance that sweetness, because, you know, in Mediterranean, we are not so sweet, not as people, but I'm talking about the taste. We like sourness and bitterness. So in order to give that balance, when we are making the sauce, we need lemon, we need orange, and we also need a little bit of vinegar. So we make a complex of acidity in this cooking in order to balance the sweetness of the onion. So how we roll it? We take an onion. After we have all the ingredients, tomato paste also, I talked about the spices, some fresh tomato also, of course the fennel, don't forget it, it's yours. And then we have the stuffing ready, with the rice, of course. You have some Carolina rice, but you can buy any rice that you like. It's not difficult to make stuffing. So, it's dry now, because I made it some time before. I'll put some more extra olive oil. I want to show you that I'm not afraid to use it, and I'm not only using it as a few drops on the top. Because we are normal still, we can walk with all that quantity that we consume. So, we take it, we put inside the stuffing, and then we roll it. So now we have a beautiful, let's say, quenelle, onion quenelle. And we continue with the second and the third, and that is the way that we move. Okay, one more just to show. We try not to put too much inside, because after rice gets bigger, may break. So this is the way that we work, and then we put it in a pot like this in order to cook it. What we do, we put all the leftovers that we have from the greens. We don't throw away anything. This is a rule, if we want to think Mediterranean. So, for example, I have the stems from the fennel. I'll put them on the bottom. I have all the remainings of the onions. I'll put them also at the bottom. We don't throw anything. And then, after we make a setting like that, at the bottom, on the top, we start building our dolma. And the result is this. So you have, at the bottom, you have all these leftovers. On the top, you have the dolma. The liquid that we use to boil can be even a vegetable stock, or, because you already have all that flavor from the remainings, you can say that you are making the stock during the cooking. Okay, so water, it's fine, but if you have a vegetable stock, maybe gives more flavor. And then After 30 to 40 minutes, this is ready. You collect all the juices that you have in here, and you can even reduce, or the other thing that you can do is to use some cornstarch in order to give some body to your sauce. What's in the sauce? The things that we talk about. The lemon, the orange, and the acidity of the vinegar. So we mix this with the juices of the cooking dolma, and we make a sauce. So if we can fire this up, yep, wonderful. And warm this up also. Great.
Manalise, I had a question.
Yeah, I'm looking to the time, so
Yeah,
I can
that's
be
all
sure
right.
that I'll make it. Yeah, I'll make it. Because I won't say everything that I'm making with the dolma. I won't say everything the same thing all the time. Yeah, please.
But I was wondering, I think for most Americans, the dolma or the dolmades that we're more familiar with are the ones with grape leaves. Is that a regional difference, or is that just a preference or a seasonality difference?
Well, grape leaves. That's a good point. Because we used to preserve grape leaves in salty water in order to have them all year long. But if you are living in Mediterranean area, you don't need to have preserved those leaves. You can have them on their time when they are tender, because then you have other things that you can buy or you can collect from the nature and make your dolma. So I think that no need to buy this thing. You can buy it the time that you can find them fresh and nice, and that's what people used to do. But there were some areas that were not so rich. Let's say areas that cold was more, so they could not find all the time the vegetables that they want in order to have what they need to stuff. So in that case, they could preserve in order to make some dolma. They used to do also with cabbage, because they put it in salty water, and then they could use the leaves in order to roll dolma. So yeah, it is a matter of choice and of possibilities, you know, that you can find what you want in order to cook with. Okay?
Thank you. And if
So-
anyone else has questions, please do put them in the Slido app, and we'll be able to ask.
So we are warming this up. So you can see you have a nice cream that we are going to put. This is the sauce for our first dolma. This is also now warm. And we go to the second one, which is the leek. Somebody stole my leek. I don't know where it is, but I have them everything here, yeah. Thank you so much, you're great. So, we do exactly the same thing that we did with the onion. We take the leek as a whole, we take our knife and cut the leek till the middle of it, and then we boil it, and we have those beautiful leek seeds. You see? This is it. So, we are going to do the same work, but in different shapes, because we like geometry, and we like to play with that. In this one, we'll put completely different things. Some of them are common, like all the greens never are always there. We never do stuffing without all these nice aromatics. So we have some shrimps. We made some nice stock from the leftovers of the shrimp. We never throw away anything. And then we have all the other things that we also used, like the rice, the onion, the olive oil, salt, pepper, some zest from lemon that gives very nice flavor and goes great with the seafood. And that's it, I think, yeah. So I have the filling here. It's ready.
And I have a couple of questions from the audience.
Yes.
Daniel's wondering what type of liquid is in the pot when cooking the dolma.
Well, as I said, you can just use water. You don't need to use a stock. But if you want to have a stronger flavor, then you can use a vegetable stock, if we are talking about vegan dolma. in case that you have one with meat, because I haven't made one with meat here. You can put a meat stock. Because I put all those things at the bottom, the leftovers, you are making a stock at the same time that you are cooking. And don't forget, if you want to have the original taste, this is the big secret. You have to use a lot of it. Don't be scared, because really, it's not the same. Then you'll have something that it's mediocre, you know, it's okay, it's tasty, but no, without it, it's not. It's very important to have that. Extra virgin olive oil is essential for Mediterranean cooking, and it's essential for the taste that we want to succeed.
And then Leslie asks, at what hotel are you staying so that we can follow the path to find the wild fennel and greens?
Excuse me, can you repeat?
What hotel are you staying at so that we can follow the path to find the wild fennel and greens? And then she said,
Well,
LOL.
It's terracin something. What's the first word? River.
River terracin.
River terracin, yeah. So walking through that walk, you can find them. We can go together if you want tomorrow morning. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, darling. Oh, you are one of a kind. I love you. So here we are making this, the triangle. We are going to get 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then finish. So we have this beautiful and nice colored, and this is the result here. So here we have also the stock inside from the leftovers of the shrimps. So we are going to use the stock in order to boil. We'll warm up a little bit. Is this the sauce? Yes, huh? Yeah. And here, the thing that we need, because also we have some sweetness here, we have the zest that gives some nice acidity, but the real acidity is coming from lemon juice. We need some lemon juice, and not only at the finishing, but especially during the cooking, we have to put some lemon juice inside. So we also take the sauce from there, and we just warm up in order to, this is fine, to do the work. So one sauce here, the second is here. And we'll go to the third one. The third one is the cabbage. Oopa, no problem. So here I want to talk to you about a very special ingredient that I use in order to show you that in Greece, in Crete, we didn't have any rice. We need to import that, and we did it quite late. So we need to find other things in order to put something inside our stuffing. So this is the thing that we used to have, and the name of it is xenochodros. So xenochodros is broken wheat cooked in fermented milk. We take the cold milk, we leave it 3 days outside, room temperature, and that's a process that is making the milk to be sour. And then in that milk, we cook the wheat, the broken wheat. And we slow cook it for a long time, and then you have this, let's say, creamy thing, and then you are making with your hands small pieces and keep it dry. And we can preserve that, because now it's dry, for as long as we want. After you broke this into small pieces, you are having something like rice, but it's not rice. It's something in order to have and stuff things. We also make soups with that, exactly like we do with rice. Huh? So it is a nice way to leave the rice out and use something else. A lot of vegetables here.
Is that still a common ingredient?
Yeah, we use it a lot in Crete. And in the other part of Greece, people call it trachanas. Usually they call it trachanas, but the process is completely different. But it's the same family, let's say. I don't know what they do in Mani. We also call it trachanas. Or xenochodros. Okay. So you see, we have a lot of differences but we have more things to connect us, as Greg said before. So here we have vegetables, we have zucchini, we have carrots, we have red pepper. We also have a lot of aromatics. We have the xenochodros, of course the olive oil, tomato paste, and this gives a completely different taste to our preparation. We also take the cabbage, and what we need to do here is to take the cabbage and make this thing at the bottom of it. Usually, we get the bigger cabbages because we want big leaves in order to make our dolma. So we get this out. We don't throw this out. We also chop it and put it at the bottom. We don't throw anything. Everything is in the pot. So that is the way, when you put it in a boiling water, easy to take out one by one the leaves, okay? It's good to have some salty water because also gives some taste to the leaves. So you can go till inside, but there is a point that the leaves are too small. So you don't throw that away. You can make a beautiful salad, or you can also use it at the bottom of the pot. So let's roll. We have ready the stuffing. Okay. One detail. Xenochodros is taking a lot of water inside. So if you want, you can put it in water for 30 minutes and then put it in the stuffing so you can have the moisture that you need. Here is the hard part. So we have to take it out. We leave it out, and then we open the lid. We don't throw anything away in the bottom. And I have one more secret. At the end of the cooking, you can take everything that is in the bottom, blend it together with some lemon juice and some olive oil, and you have the most interesting sauce. So that's zero waste, and it's not an invention. It's something that people used to do every day. So we put this inside. Usually, we go the other side from the soft part of the leaf because it's easier to roll. So 1, 2, and then this is the way. Okay, it's not always easy to roll right, so you cut or you put inside, but yeah, it's okay. So what I do, I roll this and I make a lot of them, and then all the leaves that I don't want, I put them on the top. I don't have to throw those because are very tasty, but I also protect the moisture in here, so it keeps the moisture and the juices nice. Yes, thank you. What goes next is to plate, actually, because here is the sauce. What do I do here? Xenochodros is really sour, so I need something to make it interesting. What I use, it's some yogurt, but not a sour one, softer yogurt. So I use the yogurt, I take all the liquid from the pan, and I mix it, and I have another sauce. And now we are going to plate 3 different dolmas in one plate, 3 different sauces in one plate, but one culture, dolma. So, spoon, yes. Let's start with a lick. I'll find one that's beautiful. I like this one. So, whoopa. You see the things that I put under. Okay, the lick is there, and the sauce of the lick is the orange one. Let's work a little bit the sauce. Yeah, please. Small quantity.
What is that sauce?
Yeah.
What is the sauce?
This is the sauce with the lemon, the vinegar, the orange, and we thick the sauce with some cornstarch or some flour. They used to do it with flour also. Or you just have to reduce. You don't have to put anything else. So. First sauce. Second dolma, let's go to the onion one. Huh? Thank you. Oh, beautiful. And the sauce of the onion, which is a nice lemon sauce. And third one is the cabbage. Here we are. And the yogurt sauce. Oop, one more spoon. Here it is. Great, thank you. And we need something to connect those three things. And I think that the best thing to connect things is extra virgin olive oil. So we make the connection now. And of course, since we are talking about Mediterranean, we need to use all those nice, beautiful, fresh things that we can find. This is Serville. I love it also. And maybe some mint, which is beautiful. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, that's all. 23 seconds. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Okay.
Hello, it's the second presentation for today. It's enough for a heart attack. Like forgive me for being a little shy. I'm going to make you a very simple dish, a dish that I love very much. And although I always go with seasonality, I have no idea why I picked this dish, but then I understood. It is because it is a dish that combines a destination that many Greeks did from Black Sea, from Istanbul, and somehow they brought all this heritage and all these treasures, culinary treasures to Greece after the population exchange in 1923. This dish has two foundations. One, it's a soup, a chilled soup, which is called ayran. It is inspired from Iran. Ayran is a very, very pleasant and very beautiful beverage drink that the Greeks of Black Sea brought to Greece and made it popular. The base is yogurt, and it is whipped yogurt that it has gone sour. And when you can add like dried mint or green pepper and give a beautiful aroma, and it becomes a really nice chilled soup that you can enrich with vegetable, with dolma, and or other stuffed vegetable, as I did today in accordance to Manolis. So I'm going to make an ayran soup, and it will be topped with stuffed courgette blossoms. I will start with the stuffing, which is I always use extra virgin olive oil as well. I come from a place that it is drowned in extra virgin olive oil. It is Mani Peninsula. It is the southeast part of Greek mainland. And the only tree that you can see there is Koroneiki variety trees. Apart from that, even parsley is considered to be a tree. I mean, it's dry, waterless, and rocky, and mountainous. But during winter, of course, it's a totally different scenery. It is full of wild-grown greens, of edible wildflowers. Actually, Mani owns one of the biggest a collection of edible wildflowers variety that you can use and give different nuances to very simple dishes like a salad or anything else. I'm starting by sautéing onion, white dry onion, and green onion. And I do that along with the rice. I usually use rice pudding rice, but you also can use risotto rice. But it's very important to sauté the rice because it obtains a little bit of resistance, while it is being cooked. This is what I learned when I was living in Istanbul. And always, whatever they do, they always sauté the rice, most of the times in butter. After sautéing the rice, I add tomato. I add tomato paste, which I love very much, because Maniots, as they lived in a very, very isolated place, and after the first most important small-scale depot, when it was built in Gerolimenas, they started importing goods from Kalamata, from Marcia, from Malta, and they were sending back also very special things like quails, alive quails. And rice, this is how rice reached out Mani Peninsula, and they were so happy. And along with rice, also tomato paste came, and all the Maniot houses used to have that amount of tomato paste, and they were putting tomato paste like crazy person all over everywhere, like in all the poached in olive oil. And so we were get used to it, and apart from giving too much flavor, it gives also a nice body to the food. At that level, I will add water, but you also can add vegetable stock. And I'm not going to cook the rice. I'm just going to leave it half, as if I'm making a risotto, but I stop it as soon as it absorbs the little amount of water that I have poured in. And when it does it, I remove it from the heat, and this is the time that I will pour in all the fresh herbs, which I love so much. That means that it can be wild-grown fennel, as Manoli said, they're everywhere. Like there is an orgy of wild-grown fennel here. And basil and lemon balm and dill and spearmint, mint, and whatever comes in your mind. But at that point also comes my Istanbul heritage, because I lived there for 10 years. While I was having my master's degree, and for 1 year I worked as a saleswoman at the Egyptian market. And one of the things that I still remember because of the scent, it was the spices. They had different spices for the stuffed thing, for the dolma, for the sarma, and all this beautiful food that we share, actually, not only with Turkey, but also, the whole Balkans. So I add nutmeg, sumac, black pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, crazy, crazy, crazy spice, very beautiful. It gives a beautiful, very different lemony flavor. It elevates, and it's a very joyful thing to use. And also anise seeds that you can also obtain from the wild-grown fennel, like just dry, the flowers, the blossoms. Of course, salt and pepper, and something that I also love very much, and I use at my restaurant, limitless. It is preserved citrus. It can be lemon, it can be preserved bergamot, tangerine, blood orange. It never stops. Just try it, like you can preserve it at your home. And before using it, you just soak it very, very fast. and you chop it, and you use it for everything. I mean, for a stew, for a soup, for a simple rice, in a salad, anything. You can't believe how crazy flavor will give at your food. So everything is absorbed. So my stuffing is ready. It doesn't contain that much liquid. Actually, there's no liquid at all, but I'm just showing to you. And we got this, which is a simple stuffing, not cooked though. The courgette, the blossoms normally should be open, but it's not. They're not open, so it's not going to be easy for me to stuff them. When you harvest them very early in the morning, they are totally open, waiting for any stuffing. And apart from rice, it can be also with bulgur. It was one of the first grains that we used in Greece before rice. It's delicious. In Turkey, they still use it. And it's very, very tasty. And I might say that I love it more. It's very, very hard to open it. Thank you. Anyway, so with a tiny spoon, a teaspoon, you stuff and you fold as if you're making a present. I have also added into the stuffing pine nuts and black currant from Corinthos.
Stavriani, one of the things that you said in one of our earlier discussions is that the Mani is very proud that their cuisine is, I guess, more isolated from outside influences than some others. Is that something that you try to represent, or have you moved away from that as a result of your time in Istanbul and elsewhere?
Maniacs are very proud of, staying attached and in their own darkness. But yes, they wouldn't use spices because they would feel that makes their food taste Turkish. You know, from that kind of things, apart from the flavor and apart from the techniques, food gives us an aspect and an idea of how people can connect or disconnect. Mostly, to me, is connection, and I can see that after my 10 years stay in Istanbul, that coming here, I integrated yogurt to my cooking, which it used to be in Greece, but not anymore. I integrated all the spices that the Istanbulians, the Greek Istanbulians, brought to Greece, and that made our cuisine richer, colorful, with much more many scents, more options, and brings out the connection that we actually had. And if you look at that, the travel, you know, the journey that all these ideas did in order to, have the ability now to say that, oh, we own the dolma, we have sarma, we have all this beautiful stuffed vegetable or not, or, cook with quince or fruit. You know, how important it was. And like the Ottoman Empire, for example, was a door that opened all this richness that reached till Greece. And that is a good part, a good point, of history to see how that we can connect us humans as just like our ingredients were connected. And this is how I see it. So Maniots can be proud about that, but I'm not practicing that. I'm doing I'm practicing exactly the opposite. I combine all these memories and all these persons and all these people and all these experiences by using things that I can find at my place. Vegetables and whatever the fish vendor will bring to me. But certainly I will use nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, and clove. So this is how it looks. And you're going to use a pan. Definitely, as Manoli said before, you can use the stems of what is left from basils, from anything, and it will enrich the flavor of your stuffing. But also, you can, instead of water, you can also cook it with, apart from olive oil, which is totally necessary in order to make a good braising. You can add orange juice or lemon juice or blood orange juice, and it will give a totally different direction to the flavor and to a very common and very traditional dish as it is. The second part, and this is how it looks, by the way. I mean, it was braised in a very, very low heat. That low that, like I was wondering if it's really getting cooked that low, and then you leave it there and you leave it to get cold. And to my opinion, all the things, all the food that is being poached in extra virgin olive oil should be served cold, or at least at room temperature, because the flavor is higher and the olive oil and all the beautiful nuances of the flavor of olive oil is higher, and the pleasure is higher. The second part, the base, it's ayran. As I told you, ayran is whipped yogurt, but originally ayran was milk that had gone sour, but still could give food and nutrition. The sour milk was, they used to whip the sour milk, separate it from the butter, and then drink the leftover. And you can do that at your home, not exactly the same, but you can have a really nice yogurt, a goat yogurt or sheep yogurt, open it with water, or open it with feta brine. In this case, I'm using feta brine. Feta brine can also be very, very, very exciting in such a soup, because it gives the cheesy flavor, the flavor of the goat, and it fits very, very nice. Of course, we should be very careful because it might be more salty. So we taste. You can stir it, whip it the traditional way, as I'm doing right now, and I really enjoy it rather than the blender. And you can flavor it with lemon zest, with dry mint, which is one of the best options to me. Of course, in its salt, it can be added some black pepper. And you can leave it, if you want extra flavor, into the fridge for a couple of hours or more, or one whole day, and leave it with spearmint leaves, basil leaves, or a very hot green pepper. It will take the taste of the pepper, this is also incredible, and a little bit of the hotness of the pepper. So let's say that our ayran is ready. It must be almost like velouté. Maybe it can be a little bit lighter. But again, it's in your taste. I mean, you do whatever you want. It's a very nice dish during the summer. And goes beautifully with an acidic wine. Everything is served cold. I haven't used garlic. While I grow up, somehow I have reduced the use of garlic. I don't know why. But I think it's a sign of matureness. And the oil and the liquids left in the pot, don't throw them. Strain the pot, carefully, and use it for another food. Like if you're going to poach in olive oil, I don't know, courgettes or aubergines or whatever, use it. It will add flavor so much to your new. It's like using a starter, sourdough. You're putting something that has already nice flavor. It has been many herbs have been infused, and it's going to blow, in a good way. Okay. Now, I like to combine acidic with sweetness. I like it to be spicy. I like it to be sour at the same time. So I'm using hot peppers, that they are crunchy. And I'm sprinkling with some fresh herbs. It can be anything that you love and you like. It can be something that reminds you of somebody, a grandmother, a friend, or a moment that you had. I have also thyme and some microgreens, so I can feel that I made something really contemporary. Always we finish with a few drops of extra virgin olive oil, preferable from Mani, my homeland. Where? Okay. And this is an Iran soup with stuffed courgette that brings together the Cappadocians from Black Sea, the Istanbulians, some techniques from Antalya, Asia Minor, and the right now of Greece. Thank you.
So one thing that I was thinking about while you were both cooking, and also going back to something that Greg was talking about previously, is the idea that when we think today about the Mediterranean region and the different cuisines around the Mediterranean, we think in terms of borders, we think in terms of boundaries. But that if you go back historically and you look at the pre-industrial world, the Mediterranean Sea wasn't a boundary, it was a highway. It was a way to connect cultures and flavors and to bring people, and their foods together. Do you find that in your own cooking?
I certainly find that. And for example, when I was smelling the mix of the spices like the nutmeg and the clove and the allspice and the cinnamon and the cardamom, I saw myself like years ago that I was like in such an agony of what I'm going to do. Am I ever going to finish my studies? I don't see myself in such a career. What I'm going to do? And when I smell the scent of the spices, I see the Egyptian market, me like lost in the space, and what I'm going to say to my parents. And like I have to be a doctor, I have to be a lawyer, I have to be something like that, but I don't want to. And how I'm going to handle this. And this spices reminds me of that. But at the same time, the Iran reminds me of also the suffering of many people. Like, yes, food is joy. This journey is joy, is a treasure, but at the same time, it reminds us that immigration, that it's not population exchange. It can be uprooting, eliminating people from their homes. That's why we have them. But why do we have them? Because they had to leave, not because they had a choice. The only choice they had is to abandon their homes and their safety and their comfort zones. So this joy, it is also something like a requiem. It's also something like, remembering that life includes also suffering, and we can see it also through food. Yes.
Welcome to Peanuts in the Plant Forward Kitchen. I'm Ashton Pelham. Today we're diving into performance nutrition, specifically how peanuts help fuel athletes at every level. I'm thrilled to be joined by Chef Tony, who is going to share some tips for athletes to stay fueled, focused, and ready to compete. Athletes push their bodies to the limit, so what they eat matters. I think you're going to share a recipe that can help with post-game or post-workout recovery. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I'm making a protein peanut butter smoothie. This smoothie is perfect for recovery. Peanut butter aids athlete recovery by providing a combination of protein, good fats, and other essential nutrients that help repair muscle damage, replenish energy stores, and reduce inflammation. Specifically, the protein content supports muscle repair and growth, while the good fats sustain energy and contribute to reducing inflammation and muscle soreness.
Wow, Chef Tony, that was really informative. Can you tell me what else is in the smoothie other than peanut butter?
We have some peanut protein powder that we're gonna mix with some cocoa powder, and we're mixing it in a bowl because what'll happen is if we don't, sometimes it'll tend to clump around the sides of the blender.
Okay.
And then we also have some frozen bananas.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put those in here first. And then we have peanut butter.
Now, does it matter how much peanut butter? Is it to your liking?
It's kind of to your liking.
Okay.
But like if you go too heavy, it'll tend to get really thick, but you can always add more oat milk if you need. We're gonna add in some vanilla extract. We're gonna pour our peanut powder and cocoa mixture on top.
Wow.
The last thing is we have some ice and we have some oat milk.
And this is so easy. It's so fast to make.
This is like you wake up late and you have to hurry.
Which I so often do.
Start it on low, make sure your button's on low, and then slowly increase it.
Okay.
All right. And then it nices thing.
Mm.
All right, and then we're gonna add the ice.
Oh, wow.
All right. And that's it.
And that's it?
That's it.
That was super fast. Now, with all the training and the on-the-go lifestyle, this looks like a quick and easy way for athletes to get the fuel they need on the go.
Yes, peanuts and peanut butter are an automatic go-to because it's shelf stable and helps you sustain your energy without crashing.
Okay, well, let's give this delicious shake a try. All right, and cheers.
Cheers.
Yes. Mmm. Delicious. This is amazing. Quick, easy, and on the go, full of protein and all the nutrients, huh?
Absolutely.
Wow, well, thank you, Chef Tony, for joining us today. Clearly, peanuts are a powerful player in any athlete's meal plan and a secret weapon for chefs who want to keep their teams energized and ready to win. Thanks for watching Peanuts in the Plant Forward Kitchen. I'm Ashton Pelham. See you next time. And Chef, before you go, I'm definitely gonna need this recipe.
These crispy Vietnamese spring rolls, or chua zo, are traditionally made filled with Whittier mushrooms, vermicelli noodles, pork, and sometimes shrimp, though this can vary regionally. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a vegetarian version, filled with tofu and vegetables in place of pork and shrimp. In Vietnam, these spring rolls are enjoyed as an appetizer, like we'll demonstrate here, or as a topping on bún chả. First, let me show you how to make the filling. Heat canola oil in a skillet over medium heat. Add lemongrass, shallots, and carrots, and saute them until they're fragrant, about 3 minutes. Next, stir in rehydrated and minced Whittier mushrooms, cooked and chopped vermicelli noodles, and some tofu. I'm using the soya organic extra firm tofu that I've crumbled. Add soy sauce, oyster sauce, and palm sugar, and cook for another 4 minutes, stirring to incorporate. Remove from the heat and allow the filling to cool completely. This is key in order to prevent soggy spring rolls. Now I'll show you how to assemble the spring rolls. You can lightly brush the edges of the Nasoya egg roll wrap with some cornstarch paste to ensure a really secure seal. I've made that by cooking equal parts cornstarch to water to make a little egg roll glue. Place about 2 tablespoons of the cooled filling in the center of each egg roll wrapper. I'm using Nasoya egg roll wraps for this because they hold up well and crisp up beautifully when they're fried. Fold the bottom corner over the filling, then fold in the sides. From there, roll the filling tightly so it's sealed. Let's go ahead and finish assembling the rest of our spring rolls. You can make these in advance and refrigerate them until you're ready to serve them. Now we're ready to fry our spring rolls. Heat oil in a deep skillet or pot to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Fry the spring rolls in batches for 2.5 to 3 minutes or until they're golden and crispy. Drain them on a wire rack or paper towels to maintain their crispiness. Arrange the spring rolls on a platter with lettuce leaves, fresh herbs, and some pickled carrot, cucumber, and daikon. Serve with nyok chom dipping sauce or sweet chili sauce on the side.
One of the most delicious and iconic comfort foods in Europe is musaka and its many variations depending on where it's made. Musaka is cousins with shepherd's pie and is a layered eggplant or potato-based dish, often including ground meat, tomato, and a top layer of custardy bechamel sauce. Musaka is a 13th century dish from the Arabian Levant. Today, it's enjoyed all over the Balkans and the Middle East, and it has many local and regional variations, from hot to cold, with or without eggplant, filled with beef or lamb, and everything in between depending on its origin. In the same spirit, I'm making this delicious layered dish inspired by Bulgaria's musaka, Malta's timpana, and Cyprus's makaronia tou fournou, using ingredients from all over the European Union. The first step is to prepare the hotel pan. I'll butter the pan with this garlic and herb butter from France, which will add some creaminess. Next, I'll cover the butter with some crushed potato chips. I'm using truffle and Irish butter potato chips from Ireland for their intense truffle flavor. As the base of the dish, I'm making a twist on the traditional savory meat and tomato stew. To give my stew some umami sweetness and a different textural element, I'm starting by using the oil from the EU organic dried cherry tomatoes from Spain. The EU organic label ensures that the product is safely made, following strict regulations, and with respect for the environment. You will find musaka made with ground beef, pork, or lamb, but I'm making this version using cotechino Modena, a traditional cooked pork sausage from Modena, which has PGI or Protected Geographical Indication status, meaning it's a product deeply rooted in its origin, with most of its production taking place right in Modena, Italy. The rich and savory flavor of the sausage pairs beautifully with other European ingredients in this dish. Mediterranean appetizer of fried eggplant and peppers from Bulgaria is a great product to use because the fried eggplant and peppers are already mixed with flavorful tomatoes, garlic, herbs, and spices. Add the dried cherry tomatoes. Red onion preserve from Romania adds a sweet and savory flavor. Add a bit of sweet paprika from Hungary for a sweet smokiness. The product holds a PDO, or Protected Designation of Origin status, meaning that every part of production, processing, and preparation must take place in the region of its geographic origin. I'm adding a splash of Slovenska Istra, a Cabernet Sauvignon from Slovenia that also holds PDO, or Protected Designation of Origin status, meaning it's crafted entirely in its home region, capturing bold notes of blackcurrant, blackberry, and a hint of black pepper. I'm giving our musaka an elevated and fun twist by topping it with a whipped herb and truffle potato chip flavored bechamel. I was inspired to use potato chips in the topping since it reminded me of the instant mashed potatoes that so many of us grew up eating. I'm using more of the truffle and Irish butter potato chips and bringing them to a boil in water. These get blended with a little more of the garlic and herb butter from France. Pour the stew into a prepared pan. As you can see, the bechamel is looking so delicious and is going to be the perfect creamy counterpart to the rich stew. I also added a crispy garnish of crushed potato chips, a sprinkle of Portuguese sea salt, and a bit more of the red onion preserves on the side, with a dusting of sweet paprika from Hungary. This musaka is such a rich and comforting dish with so many layers of intense flavor. I love this comforting and end-of-summer recipe because it reimagines the iconic dish through a modern lens by using high-quality ingredients and showcasing regional depth and cross-cultural inspiration.